We're gonna do this my way. Quick and deadly.
Hey everyone, my name is Care4Dash. In this guide I'll talk about Akali items and runes for Season 12 and how to itemize in almost every game. You can find the timestamps in the description down below, and you can also check the channel after this video for more guides and gameplays for Akali if you are interested. Now, shall we get started? So, we have 3 main runes for Akali: Electrocute, Conqueror, and Fleetfootwork. And 2 other runes that are extremely powerful on Akali in Season 12, which are Predator and Grasp. Those are the only 5 runes that seemed to synergize with Akali in high-low in the current meta. So I will go in depth on what items suit every rune the most and what matchups should you take Fleet, Electrocute, Conqueror, Grasp or Predator. Starting with Electrocute. I think Electro is the easiest rune to use on Akali and also the strongest when it comes to early trades or 1v1 against squishes. It is a good rune if you want to play around your early game, and it's also pretty good for short trades. But it starts losing its value a little bit in teamfights compared to other runes like Predator or Conqueror. Electro synergizes well with Night Harvester or Rocket Build. You can build Rift Maker, but it's just not going to be the best option. For example, Conqueror would be much better if you are planning to build Rift Maker. Electro's Sudden Impact or Test of Blood, Eyeball, and Ravenous Hunter. I will explain any little details in the end of the video. At last, if you are a newbie Akali player, this rune is probably the way to go. Next comes Fleetfootwork. Fleet has been used on Akali quite a lot in pro play as it offers you survivability in laning phase. The rune itself isn't hard to use, but it needs some time to get used to it. So, when do you take Fleet? This rune is perfect into hard bulk matchups like Lucian, Orianna, Vex in mid lane, or any ranged matchups in top lane. Or in games that it's hard for you to play laning phase and all you want is to survive laning phase. That's why it's perfect for pro play, but it's not exactly the same for solo queue, because in solo queue you want something to help you 1v9 and carry your teammates, and Fleet isn't the best rune for this. It falls off pretty hard right after the laning phase. It becomes almost useless, but in some games Fleet helps you to not fall off in early game, and if you got yourself some kills, it should be pretty easy to carry most of your games. Fleet synergizes well with Rocket Build most of the time. If you're going Fleet, don't ever go defensive runes secondary unless you're a pussy, of course. The upper build is offensive and the lower one is defensive. Get Zhonya's if you are forced to engage, and skip it if you want more damage. The third rune in this guide is Grasp. If you want to play Grasp on Akali, you should go Divine Cinder as first item, and the rest of your build as usual. Probably Demonic Embrace, Void Staff, Zhonya's, and maybe Rabdon's Cap. So what's good about Grasp is that it gives you good sustain in lane and increases your maximum health. So it makes you tankier and harder to kill. And it also deals some good damage in your trades with the enemy. Second Wind or Bomb Blading depends on the matchup. When do you use this? Well, it's good into melee bruiser matchups in top lane, but I don't recommend this one unless you are very experienced with Akali, or else you probably won't be able to make good use of it. It makes you a bruiser more than an assassin. Next comes Predator. I love Predator so much on Akali. It's by far the most entertaining rune and it's really useful in every single way. Starting from laning phase, where you can kill your enemy laner, to the point where you use it for roaming to other lanes. And you can even use it to escape from bad situations or finding good positions in teamfights. Besides, it makes flanking way easier. And well, what it takes from you is only pressing one button. It's really easy to use and I highly recommend this rune for you. Even after she got nerfed in preseason, I still believe it's pretty good in Akali. Just like Electrocute, it synergizes well with Bolt and Night Harvester, but stay away from Rift Maker if you are going to use this rune on Akali. And you could also build Shadow Flame as your first item because mostly Predator Akali players are looking for snowballing, so this build goes well with your strategy. Last one is Conqueror. Conqueror is probably the strongest rune on Akali right now and one of the best runes in the game. It offers you insane carry potential, it just gives you massive heals and insanely good amount of damage. When do you take it? Well, you should probably take this rune almost 80% of your games. It's very powerful against tanks or stacked team comps. It's also by far the strongest rune you can use on Akali in teamfights because of the massive heals and damage you get. It even has no cooldown, like what else could you ask for? However, this rune isn't easy to use compared to how Electro, Fleet and Predator are. You need to put some time into learning how to play extended fights with your champion in order to make full use of it. In my opinion, you need to play at least 50 to 70 games with this rune on Akali before getting used to it. It synergizes perfectly with Riftmaker and it's also okay to take Night Harvester or Build, but it just suits Riftmaker more. I'm mostly using this lower build in most of my games. Moving on to starting items and summoner spells. Okay, now we'll talk about the little details that I mentioned previously. You might be wondering about some stuff related to runes and items, so I want to cover every possible detail. For Akali's starting items, you could go Durance Shield into almost every matchup, specifically into poke ranged matchups. It's a very safe pick and works almost against any champion. But in some games, you need to play more aggressive and build Durance Ring. You could even build Dark Seal if you want, but that's a little bit aggressive, in my opinion, and kinda unnecessary in most scenarios. In this game you can see I built Doran's Blade. Well, that works as well, but it's very situational. I was testing it against Renekton and it seemed to work pretty well. Now for summoner spells, I almost always go Flash Ignite in mid and top lane, but starting from Diamond 2, Teleport should be a better option, especially in top lane. I would say 90% of your top lane games you need Teleport, but in the end it's up to you and your playstyle. I think both of them are great options, and there are also people who play Ignite Teleport on Akali. But that's super aggressive playstyle and I don't really recommend it unless you're a high elo Akali one trick. Other than that, stick to your flash. Just keep in mind that Flash plus Ignite is an aggressive pick, but Flash plus Teleport is a safe pick. One of Akali's best features is that she can flex build on every matchup. It's very important to choose the proper build in order to play the cleanest of the laning phases and have the best impact possible later in the game. Akali's early game lack of energy has become a problem for a lot of Akali players because they removed the energy refound on Akali's Shuriken flip and also her Q. And also her Q requires a lot of energy early levels. So now you are forced as an Akali player to learn energy management. It's just like getting used to manage your abilities usage on a champion that uses tons of mana. And in the early game, and once you hit level 9, your Q will only cost 80. And that's where you start dominating the game. Just play smarter and more safe in the early game. Stay back, farm, and learn when and how to use your energy. Hold yourself to level 9 and you'll be good to go. Now, most of you would ask questions about runes like Sudden Impact or Test Flood. I would say Test Flood if you are against ranged opponents and Sudden Impact against melee. Or you can just choose one of them and stick to it. They are both really strong on Akali. Zombie Ward and Ghost Borrow are good, but Eyeball Collection is easier. I recommend Ravenous Hunter or Relentless Hunter. Don't choose Ultimate or Ingenious Hunter, it's not worth it. Always pick Legend Tenacity. A lot of low elo Akali players don't know what Tenacity even means, but it's just so important as it reduces the duration of any type of CC on you. Coupe de Grace or Last Stand, it depends on your playstyle. Try both of them and decide which one is better for you. Second Wind or Bomb Plating. Second Wind against both matchups. Bomb Plating against matchups like Kled or Renekton, for example. But overall, Second Wind is easier to use than Bomb Plating. And Bomb Plating can get countered pretty easily. And that's it for today's guide, guys. I hope you learned something today, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Have a quick look on the channel, and yeah, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Victory!